This is Eric from Medora Entertainment. The video you're about to see has been a long time in the making. Pretty much as soon as I finished last year's Halloween special, the YouTuber TidalToony's approached me asking me if we could do a collaboration on this year's Halloween special, and I said yes. Then, a few months ago, as the result of a sleepless night brought on by me unwisely trying an espresso at 8 o'clock at night, I came up with the idea to do something which you guys will see after the release of this video you're watching now. And after that, I had the idea to make this year's Halloween special this great big thing, which is what you're watching right now, the Great Big Halloween Bash. This thing will be in 3 parts. The first part you're watching right now is TidalToony's video. Well, technically, he did the script and the narration on his end, while the task of editing was left to me. But the opinions you're about to hear are his. Then the second part is going to be my part, which covers something which has been haunting me for years, so it's definitely appropriate for a Halloween special. And last but not least, part 3 will be from Appleboy, and will also be something logo related, like part 1, but not in the same way. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and stick around for parts 2 and 3 of this series. TidalToony's Appleboy and I have worked very hard on this.
A running theme for this list is going to be unnecessary loud logos. Like, why did they decide to use Beethoven music? Well, I'm pretty sure it's Beethoven, I don't listen to classical music, but you make unofficial public domain DVDs, it's not that serious. The way the letters just appear out of darkness is just very startling. I own a lot of stuff from this company though, so I've gotten pretty used to it. So it's high up on this list. This is probably the most surreal logo on the list. Like, it starts with some mountains, and a random grey ball appears, then it just becomes a logo. And then after that, there's just this really unpleasant gradient at the end. Like, I'm pretty sure it can cause seizures. That's mainly the reason why it gets on the list, along with the music being not pleasant. This is where the list, in my opinion, gets pretty disturbing. First 2 are pretty tame, so list placement can be summed up in one word. These faces are horrifying. I'm pretty sure the faces are mirrored, so they just look demonic. The middle one looks like he's been smoking 50 cigarettes. The guy on the left looks like he's been in a hydraulic press. And then on the other one just looks wrong. What? I don't even know how to explain that face. I have a few questions. All of them begin with the same letter. Why, and who thought this was a good idea? That thing is petrifying. What the hell? It looks like an understuffed turkey. What? Why would you Why would you choose that as your mascot? It just boggles my mind. Doesn't help that it's just plasters logos for old cartoon companies. So it doesn't really have any music of its own, just takes from the cartoons. The worst variant is probably the Woody Woodpecker one because it's the most distorted in my findings. The Popeye variant is probably second though. Before we end this off, I would like to give you a quick fun fact. I don't own any of the company's VHSs, but I own these DVDs by Moonstone. I just take the VHSs, like, not have like the same cartoons or anything, just flat out steals them, but adds a few more cartoons so it's original. And I just think that's really funny. And yes, the Moonstone logo would probably be on this, but I couldn't find any footage, so that one is just disqualified, I guess. While researching it, I knew I was going to probably put a Just for Last bumper on here, or Just di Poverini. In France, I probably butchered that. I was thinking some of the intros, and then I found the bumpers, which I could have made this a tie between all of them, honestly, but I knew I had to choose this one, and here it is. Go back to bed, Grandpa. Seriously, like, what is this rotten corpse? And why? What? Who is that voice? Also, the way that the mouth flashes at the end is pretty unpleasant. That's pourquoi. Remember earlier in the list, I said Genesis Home Video was the most surreal logo on the list? Turns out I completely forgot about Apple Films. I'm just gonna do an overview of this logo. What the hell? So it starts with space, and the first thing you notice is the guy going to town on the synthesizer. Gives everything a creepy atmosphere right off the bat. And then the apple appears, skins itself, and makes a logo. And then there's this explosion, and then this random cuckoo sound. What's up with the cuckoo, mate? Everything about this is wrong, like the low quality, the cheap animation, sound design, especially the sound design, makes this a really horrifying logo. This is probably one of the more predictable choices on the list, because it literally has a jump scare, but I don't really see many people talk about it, so first off, you might notice that this has the same synthesizer effect as Apple Films, which is one of the main reasons why that one was up so high. Yes, it is just as bad, if not worse, than in that one. Then there's the jump scares and the skull thing. Why does it just turn yellow at the end? Why? Why does it get deep fried? The fact that it's just being stabbed by needles too is just kind of It just kind of confuses me, but honestly, it's one of the funniest logos on this list too, so Okay, this thing is hideous. It looks like a biblically accurate spunk decoration. Normally, silent stuff isn't really too scary, but that's why I don't really mind the Oz home video thing, whatever the company's called. I can't be bothered to change it. This is because most of the logos that stick out to me have sound. Thus, this is the only one without sound on the list. Well, there certainly is a limit. What is this? I swear to God. It really doesn't help that the only copies I can get of this is really deteriorated. Yeah. So now we say goodbye to the weird elf ink bottle and into the top 2. Yay! This is probably the most obvious choice on the list, but I include it because I have some very funny behind-the-scenes stuff that I want to talk about. Yay! So if you watch the commentaries for the Weird Al show, when this Eldritch horror appears at the end, he says he wants to make the most stressful logo for his company. And, well, I mean, I guess he succeeded, but there's one more, and it's worse. So, the logo itself pretty much speaks for itself. This isn't one of the most infamous ones in the community, so my least favourite part about it is probably just flashing because it's just not nice to look at. Anyways, there's 2 reasons why this wasn't number 1. First reason will be predictable as hell, and the second reason is the number 1 spot is way too close for home. So this gets a pretty respectful number 2. Kind of a running joke to put Liz in the honorable mentions now, but I have some interesting trivia. The music in the logo actually comes from the 1936 Paramount cartoon, Christmas Comes for Once a Year. Specifically the opening titles. This probably would have made it on the list if it wasn't like really long. That's basically the only reason. Music is just way too dramatic on this one. And the background's just being this minimalistic living room thing. Just makes everything look really empty. I used to be scared of this one, but nowadays it just doesn't really bother me. I used to be scared of a lot of the shows, so maybe it's like a negative connotation thing. I will admit the ending where it jump scares the camera is pretty startling. This is absolutely insane to put in a kids show. One of my rules for this list was to not include anything with graphic violence. I don't want to traumatize you guys too much, so this got cut. This is pretty freakish, but I think the version on the VHS tapes is worse to me because of the music. Why does the ragdoll hair just look really weird and like tall for some reason? Music kind of makes it worse too, so. And everything feels empty in this one. There was a lot of fierce competition for the ones with scary faces. Honestly, the music kind of saves it, but here it's pretty chill. Again, this one doesn't really bother me that much. I used to be scared of it when I first watched Courage the Cowardly Dog, but now I've watched that show so many times it doesn't really bother me. The worst variant is the one for the Fog of Courage because the music is kind of damaged. Objectively, some of these should have been number one, like Earbucker or Zombastic, but this one is the most personal to me, so that's why it gets the top spot. Let's go over why this is horrible. Biggest problem is the sound effect, especially when the logo inflates. Not the explosion itself, the dramatic boom in that part is just really annoying. Then the logo explodes, which honestly isn't as bad as the rest of it, but it's still really startling. Also, there's these really loud and unpleasant electric sounds throughout the logo, along with the start with this robotic voice saying, Newgrounds. The animation is really uncanny too, so. This scared the absolute crap out of me when I watched Claywood off the table for the first time. Still can't believe someone was selling that for £5. Unbelievable, mate. And yes, like I said, the list did make me cry when I first watched it. Or did it? Yeah, I kinda lied about that. For dramatic effect. This is the only one that can actually affect me, like, in my dreams and stuff, so. And that seems like a good place to end this list on. Thanks for watching, chat. Oh yeah, the bonus logo. Okay, this one isn't really that scary compared to the rest of the list, but it's the bonus logo for a reason, so normally I can sit through this right, but I specified normally for a reason. See, when I watch this in theaters, they just boost the audio to deafening levels, so that just boosts the scare factor. Basically everything after the dog is just really loud and unpleasant. Also, may I ask, what the hell was up with that guy at the beginning with the rabbit costume? What even is that? One last note, I technically think the suspense version is scarier, but I've never really seen that one in theaters, so